Alright guys, now I'm here in my garden cleaning it up a bit and trying to control some of the plants that I want in my garden, but they are invasive. If you don't do that every year, you have to do this every year. You can't let a season go by and you don't control those plants because you'll become overwhelmed with the growth of all these extra plants that these invasive species of plants, though they're food, would put out for you. So here, as you can see, this is my berry patch, one of my berry patch. And I do want this growing here. Don't get me wrong, it's invasive, but this is something that I actually want in my garden. And so I am actually putting in the work to clean this up quite a bit to make sure that it doesn't get too out of hand and that I can control, for the most part, where I actually want it to grow. So these berries, these are golden raspberries, and I love them. And they, as you can see, they have thickened up quite a bit here. And these are gonna bear fruit later on this year. But these other ones here are actually bearing fruit right now. So one way of controlling these plants is that you can cut this back. Once it's done bearing fruit and it's ripened, you can cut this back. So that's going to assist you in controlling it. But if you notice here, from the original spot that I planted these, the roots go under. Let me pull this and show you the direction it's coming from, right where I originally planted it. So they grow underground and then they emerge, and you're gonna have a whole mess growing these berries. And this is for people especially with a small growing space. I do have a small growing space, but it's not as small as some other people. It's a decent size, and so I am able to grow some invasive species of plants that I want to grow, but I also have to control it. So this is a cleanup. I've cleaned it up pretty good. And in here I have a cold hardy citrus planted in ground. This is a flying dragon citrus. It's a slow growing, but these berries here was overcoming it, but it's doing pretty well. I also have in this area maypop, and this was the original area where I planted it last year. But if you notice here, I have one coming up here, one here, one here, and one, let me show you where I found one this morning, way over here. Way over here. See that? So if you have a small growing space, you have to be careful and pay attention and actually maintain these plants, these invasive species of plants, if you decide to grow them. You can either try growing them in containers, which I have transplanted some in containers, like right here. This is a golden berry here, and this is a goji berry. So all this laying on the ground here are golden raspberries and goji berries that I actually pulled up and I'm trying to control back here in this small area. This is my original goji berry plant here. I'm going to keep it there, and I'm going to keep trying to control where it grows. So the cleanup have begun. I'm going to get a whole lot of berries. Did I not see this? See that, guys? Another maypop. There's another little one coming up here, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to see lots more. Wow, that's awesome. So I may dig one of these up and put it in a container also. But as you can see, this amount of raspberries here, it's a lot. So if you have it in a small area, if it's tucked away in an area, that's fine and you have the space. But once you're growing it in a really compact space, you want to make sure you actually take care of it. Let me take you to my red raspberries so you can see what I'm talking about, guys. Let's take a walk over here. Now over here, along the fence line is all raspberries. And so I get a lot of raspberries every year from these. As you can see, look at all the new growth on these also, the new raspberry canes. These year I've been pulling up the leaves because I do harvest the leaves to make tea. So hence the reason why you can see the cane of the raspberries bare. But look at that, guys. Every year I come through and I pull all these out because I want to keep it in a straight line up against the fence. So there's a lot of pulling out that I have to do. See this? I mean, I do have space in this area where I can grow them because there's lots of space here, but I do not want it to overtake the entire area and be a mess. So I'm not on this section yet, but they're starting to ripen already. But I have to go in and pull all those out where I don't want it to grow, so that way I can keep it under control. Another invasive species of plant I am growing is elderberries, and I do have 3 different varieties of elderberries here. There's a tiny one right there that's been struggling for a couple years, even though it comes up every year. And then there's this one and this one over here. So these also are invasive, and I do go in every year. Look at this here. Look at this growth. See this? This is a new plant here. This is another one here that I'm going to be pulling out. And same as, I got to get back there to do that, but same as with the raspberries, the roots grow underground and they pop up and grow further and further away from the base where I planted it. And if you notice here, I have a piece of wire, like a fencing, around the base where I actually grew it, that green wire in there. And that's just to mark the spot where it should be growing. It shouldn't be growing outside of that, like that one right there also. So I've been going in every year and pulling them out just to make sure I'm able to control these invasive plants, because I do, like I said, I do want to grow it to reap the benefits, but I also understand the fact that they're invasive and that I have to do maintenance on it in order to be able to control it in the space where I want it to grow. So to control those types of invasive plants, you have to get it from the root, because these developed roots are just, just full of energy, and they just start growing and pretty much spread into places that you may not want them to grow. Now I have had these elderberries here for a few years, and every year I go in and I cut them all the way down. All the way down. Let me see if I can see an old stem. Because they just keep putting out new stems every year. I'm not going back there. So let me just show you from the bottom. If I can get in there. There we go. How old these stems are. Look at that. These are the original stems from when I planted it. When I planted it, it was just a cutting that I rooted and then planted it in ground. So as you can see, a few years later, yes, I do get a lot of berries from it, but at the same time I have to put in the work to control it and to keep it in this area only, because I don't want it to get out of hand. So just like you would control plants that reseeds themselves and the seeds overwinter in the soil and emerge and germinate in the spring, you want to make sure these invasive type plants, you do maintenance on them and control the area where you're growing them if you have a small garden space, as to not get overwhelmed, as to keep the plant healthy so that you can enjoy all of the produce, because they are prolific bearers. The blackberries, the raspberries, even the elderberries, you get a lot of fruits from these that you can use, and the goji berries also. So you just want to make sure you put in the work and do the maintenance. So like I said, you would not get overwhelmed. This is all for now. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next upload.